Have you ever felt like you're trapped in an endless loop where mistakes keep repeating like a song stuck on replay? You know it's wrong, you feel it's wrong, yet you can't stop yourself from doing it again. Maybe it's a toxic relationship, a rash decision, or even the habit of procrastination that you've promised to change but never have. Let me tell you this, you're not alone. We've all stumbled on the same path, and often we don't understand why. But here's the truth. It's not the fault of your circumstances, and it's not destiny playing tricks on you. The answer lies in how we think and act. Stoic philosophy, the timeless wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, offers profound lessons on confronting our recurring mistakes. In this video, we'll uncover the mystery of why you keep making the same mistakes, and more importantly, how to break free from that cycle with unshakable strength. Before we dive deeper, take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you blamed yourself for repeating the same mistake? Do you still carry the feelings of helplessness, shame, or disappointment in yourself? If you've ever felt that way, this video is for you. I'll not only help you understand the root causes, but also provide you with practical tools and actionable insights from Stoic philosophy to transform your life. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video that brings you closer to becoming the best version of yourself. We'll begin with the story of a carpenter named Joaquin, a man whose pride and stubbornness once led him to a grave mistake. But it was through failure that he discovered how to evolve into a better version of himself. And now I want to ask you this. If mistakes are not failures, but opportunities to grow, how will you seize that opportunity? Let's uncover the answer together. 1. The roots of repeated mistakes. Have you ever walked into a situation with the best intentions, only to find yourself trapped in the same disappointing outcome as before? You swear you'll do better, that you've learned your lesson, but somehow it happens again. It feels frustrating, disheartening, and even humiliating. Why does this happen? The answer lies deeper than we often realize, rooted in our habits, mindset, and subconscious patterns. Let's start with a hard truth. Humans are creatures of habit. Our brains are wired to find comfort in familiarity, even when that familiarity leads to undesirable outcomes. This is known as psychological homeostasis, a tendency to stick to what feels safe and known, even if it's harmful. Think about it. Have you ever stayed in a toxic relationship because it felt more comfortable than facing the uncertainty of being alone? Have you clung to a job you dislike because the thought of change felt overwhelming? These choices aren't failures of willpower. They're the result of your brain's natural inclination to preserve what it knows. Stoic insight. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is a reminder that while your mind seeks comfort in the known, true strength comes from consciously stepping out of that comfort zone. Another powerful force driving repeated mistakes is cognitive bias, the mental shortcuts our brains use to process information. While these biases are meant to help us make quick decisions, they can also trap us in unproductive patterns. Confirmation. Bias. You look for evidence that supports your existing beliefs, even if those beliefs lead to poor decisions. For example, you might convince yourself that a risky investment is a good idea because you've only focused on its potential benefits while ignoring the risks. Sunk cost fallacy. You stick with a bad choice because you've already invested so much time, money, or effort. Think about staying in a failing project just because quitting feels like admitting defeat. Overconfidence. Bias. You overestimate your ability to handle a situation, leading you to repeat actions without proper reflection or adjustment. Example. Let's revisit Joaquin, the carpenter from our introduction. His overconfidence blinded him to the advice of the experienced fisherman, leading to his failure. His mistake wasn't in taking on the challenge, it was in refusing to reflect and adapt. How often do you let biases like these influence your decisions? Could acknowledging them help you break free from their grip? Change is uncomfortable. It requires stepping into the unknown and confronting the possibility of failure. This fear often paralyzes us, keeping us stuck in the same patterns even when we know they're not serving us. Psychological perspective. Fear of change is deeply tied to the human need for security. We prefer the predictable misery of the familiar over the uncertainty of potential improvement. Epictetus reminds us, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Fear is a reaction, but it doesn't have to dictate your actions. By acknowledging fear and moving through it, you reclaim control over your life. What changes have you been avoiding because of fear? What's the worst that could happen if you took that leap? One of the most overlooked causes of repeated mistakes is a lack of self-awareness. Without understanding the why behind your actions, you're likely to repeat them, even if they lead to negative results. Practical example. Imagine you're constantly late for work. You might blame traffic or a faulty alarm clock, but the real issue could be deeper. Perhaps procrastination, poor time management, or even a subconscious resistance to your job. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of daily reflection. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote in his journal, "Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary?" This practice forces you to pause and evaluate whether your actions align with your goals and values. Here's a practical exercise. 1. At the end of each day, write down one mistake or challenge you faced. 2. Reflect on what led to that situation. Was it a habit, a reaction, or an external influence? 3. Ask yourself, what can I do differently tomorrow to avoid this? Reflection. Point. When was the last time you truly reflected on your actions and decisions? How might regular self-examination change your outcomes? While much of the blame for repeated mistakes lies within us, it's important to acknowledge the role of external influences. Sometimes, the environment we're in reinforces negative patterns. Toxic relationships. Being surrounded by people who undermine or manipulate you can trap you in cycles of self-doubt and poor decisions. Cultural pressures. Society often glorifies quick fixes and instant gratification, discouraging the patience and effort required for lasting change. Environmental cues. Your surroundings can trigger habitual responses. For example, if you always snack when you sit on the couch becomes a cue for that behavior. Stoics encourage us to focus on what we can control and accept what we cannot. While you can't always change external factors, you can change how you respond to them. Practical tip. Identify one external factor that might be contributing to a repeated mistake. How can you change your environment or set boundaries to reduce its influence? Are your surroundings supporting your growth or holding you back? What can you do to create a more supportive environment? Recognizing the roots of your repeated mistakes is the first step toward breaking free from them. Awareness creates the foundation for change, allowing you to take responsibility and make conscious choices. In the next part of this video, we'll dive into the actionable steps you can take to overcome these patterns. From practicing intentional pauses to developing resilience through Stoic principles, you'll learn how to transform mistakes into opportunities for growth. Before we continue, let me ask you this. What mistake do you keep repeating, and why do you think it happens? If you could change one thing about how you approach challenges, what would it be? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next part of this transformative journey. Let's move forward together. 2. Taking responsibility and owning your choices. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to blame circumstances, people, or even bad luck for your repeated mistakes? It's tempting to say, "It's not my fault, the situation was impossible," or "If only they hadn't done that, I wouldn't have failed." While these justifications may soothe your ego temporarily, they don't address the root of the problem. The truth is, taking responsibility for your actions is the most powerful step you can take toward breaking the cycle of repeated mistakes. In this section, we'll explore how to shift your mindset, embrace responsibility, and build a foundation for real change, guided by the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Taking responsibility starts with courage, the courage to look inward and admit, "I made a mistake." This is no easy task. It requires humility and the ability to silence the part of your mind that wants to deflect blame. Why it's difficult. Admitting fault can feel like admitting failure. It forces you to confront uncomfortable truths about your behavior or choices. It may reveal patterns you've been avoiding for years. Epictetus reminds us, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. This means that if you refuse to acknowledge your mistakes, you close the door to growth and learning. Radical responsibility means owning your choices, actions, and outcomes completely. It's about recognizing that while you can't control everything, you are in charge of how you respond and what you do next. The dichotomy of control in Stoic philosophy is central here. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What you can control: your thoughts, actions, and decisions. What you cannot control: other people's actions, external events, or random circumstances. By focusing on what you can control, you stop wasting energy on blame and start investing it in solutions. Imagine you're consistently late to work. Instead of blaming traffic or a faulty alarm clock, take responsibility. "I didn't plan my morning well enough." Now you can act, set an earlier alarm, prepare your things the night before, or leave earlier. Mistakes are inevitable. What matters is how you perceive them. Do you see them as failures or as opportunities to learn and grow? The Stoic perspective. Seneca famously said, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." Mistakes are not the end. They're a turning point. Reflect on what went wrong, identify the lesson, and apply it to future decisions. Practical exercise. After every mistake, ask yourself, 1. What went wrong? 2. What could I have done differently? 3. How can I use this experience to improve? Write down your answers in a journal to track your growth over time. Excuses are the enemy of responsibility. They allow you to stay in your comfort zone and avoid confronting the changes you need to make. Common excuses. "It's not my fault." "This is just how I am." "I didn't have a choice." Why they hold you back? Excuses shift the focus away from what you can do. They reinforce a victim mentality, making it harder to take action. Stoic practice. Replace excuses with accountability. Epictetus advises, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Instead of saying, "I can't," say, "What can I do to change this?" Taking responsibility doesn't mean beating yourself up over your mistakes. It means approaching them with humility. Recognize that you're human and mistakes are part of the process. The balance of accountability and compassion. Be honest with yourself about what went wrong. Forgive yourself for not being perfect. Commit to doing better next time. Example. In the story of Joaquin, the carpenter, his humility allowed him to learn from the fisherman and improve his craft. Without humility, he would have continued to fail. How can you show yourself both honesty and compassion when reflecting on your mistakes? A mindset of ownership means embracing your ability to shape your life through your choices. It's about moving from a passive participant to an active creator of your reality. Steps to build ownership. 1. Acknowledge your role. Ask, what part did I play in this situation? 2. Focus on solutions. Instead of dwelling on the problem, ask, what can I do to improve this? 3. Commit to action. Turn insights into actions. Decide on one thing you'll do differently next time. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." In other words, stop thinking about what you could do and start doing it. While taking responsibility may feel heavy at first, it ultimately leads to freedom. When you own your choices, you reclaim control over your life. Benefits of responsibility. Clarity. You understand what's within your power and where to focus your efforts. Growth. Each mistake becomes an opportunity to improve. Confidence. By taking action, you prove to yourself that you're capable of change. Reflection. Point. Imagine the freedom you'd feel if you stopped blaming others and focused entirely on what you can control. What would that look like in your life? Taking responsibility isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Each step you take toward owning your actions and decisions moves you closer to the life you want to live. In the next section, we'll explore practical strategies for breaking free from repeated mistakes. From intentional pauses to reframing failure, you'll learn how to build resilience and transform your approach to life. Before we move on, ask yourself this. What's one area of your life where you could take more responsibility? How might your life change if you focused on what you can control instead of what you can't? Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next part of this journey. Let's take ownership of our lives, one step at a time. 3. Breaking the cycle of repeated mistakes. Imagine standing at a crossroads, knowing you've been down one of these paths before, the path where you made a mistake, felt regret, and promised yourself you'd never make it again. But somehow, you did. What if this time, you chose differently? What if you finally broke free from the cycle and stepped into a new way of living? Breaking the cycle of repeated mistakes isn't about perfection. It's about intention, awareness, and resilience. In this section, we'll explore practical, actionable strategies grounded in Stoic philosophy and modern psychology to help you rewrite the patterns of your life. One of the simplest yet most transformative tools for breaking repetitive mistakes is the intentional pause. Often, mistakes occur because we act impulsively, driven by habit, emotion, or external pressure. The pause in action. Before responding to a heated email, take a breath. When tempted to overspend, pause and ask, do I need this, or do I just want it? As you consider returning to an unhealthy relationship, reflect, what has changed this time? Marcus Aurelius wrote, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Pausing gives you the space to challenge your perceptions and choose your response. Practical exercise. Practice the 10-second rule. Before making a decision, pause for 10 seconds. Breathe deeply and ask yourself, is this action aligned with my values and goals? How often do you give yourself space to pause before acting? How might this simple habit change your outcomes? Many of us fear failure, but Stoicism teaches us to see it differently. Instead of viewing mistakes as failures, consider them as feedback, valuable information that guides your growth. Example. A failed business venture isn't a dead end. It's a lesson in what strategies didn't work and what you can do differently next time. A conflict with a friend is an opportunity to reflect on your communication style and improve it. Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Mistakes aren't setbacks, they're workouts for your character and resilience. Practical tip. After every mistake, write down 3 things you've learned from it. Then create a plan to apply those lessons in the future. What if every mistake you've ever made was preparing you for something greater? How would that change the way you approach failure? Breaking the cycle requires identifying the patterns that lead to your mistakes. These patterns are often deeply ingrained, but with awareness and effort, they can be changed. Steps to identify patterns. 1. Reflect on repetition. Write down recurring mistakes. What do they have in common? Second spot. Triggers. Identify the situations, emotions, or environments that precede these mistakes. 3. Examine beliefs. Ask yourself what belief or assumption drives this behavior. If you constantly procrastinate, your pattern might stem from a fear of failure. Recognizing this fear allows you to address it directly. Stoic insight. Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters. By identifying and changing your reactions, you can rewrite the script of your life. Practical tip. Create a pattern journal where you record repeated mistakes, their triggers, and alternative actions you could take next time. What patterns have you noticed in your behavior? How can you start rewriting them today? Emotions often drive repeated mistakes. Anger leads to outbursts, fear to avoidance, and sadness to withdrawal. Emotional resilience is the ability to navigate these feelings without letting them control your actions. How to build resilience. 1. Acknowledge emotions. Don't suppress your feelings. Name them. For example, say, I'm feeling anxious right now. 2. Detach from reactions. Remind yourself that emotions are temporary. They don't define you. 3. Practice mindfulness. Stay present and grounded through techniques like deep breathing or meditation. Marcus Aurelius advised, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength comes from mastering your inner world, not from controlling external circumstances. Practical exercise. When faced with intense emotions, try the stop, breathe, reflect, act technique. 1. Stop. Pause immediately. 2. Breathe. Take 3 deep breaths. 3. Reflect. Identify the emotion and its cause. 4th act. Choose a response that aligns with your values. How often do you let emotions dictate your actions? What would change if you responded with resilience instead? No one breaks patterns alone. The people you surround yourself with can either reinforce old habits or support your growth. How to build a supportive environment. Seek accountability. Partners. Share your goals with someone who will encourage you and hold you accountable. Learn from mentors. Find people who have overcome similar challenges and learn from their experiences. Limit toxic influences. Distance yourself from individuals or environments that perpetuate negative patterns. Example: if you're trying to quit smoking, spend time with non-smokers who support your goal rather than friends who tempt you to indulge. Stoic insight. Epictetus said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." Practical tip: make a list of people who positively influence your life. Commit to spending more time with them and less time with those who hinder your progress. Reflection. Point: who in your life supports your growth and who holds you back? How can you cultivate stronger connections with the right people? Intentions are meaningless without action. The key to breaking cycles of repeated mistakes is to consistently apply what you've learned. How to take action. 1. Start small. Focus on one change at a time. 2. Set clear goals. Define what success looks like for you. 3. Track progress. Regularly review your actions and their outcomes. Seneca advised, "While we are postponing, life speeds by." Don't wait for the perfect moment to act. Start now. Practical tip: use the 2-minute rule. If something takes less than 2 minutes to do, like sending an email, tidying your desk, or taking a deep breath, do it immediately. What's one small action you can take today to move closer to your goals? Breaking the cycle of repeated mistakes is a journey, not a destination. It requires patience, persistence, and self-compassion. Each step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you want to live. In the next and final section of this video, we'll explore how to sustain these changes over time, turning new habits into lifelong transformations. Before we continue, let me ask you this: what mistake are you ready to stop repeating? How will you apply what you've learned to take control of your life? Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next part of this journey. Together, let's break free and create a life of purpose and resilience. 4. Sustaining change and building a life of resilience. Breaking the cycle of repeated mistakes is only the beginning. The real challenge lies in sustaining change over time. Many people start strong but fall back into old habits when faced with pressure, setbacks, or complacency. To truly transform your life, you must learn to cultivate resilience, maintain focus, and embed these changes into the fabric of who you are. In this final section, we'll explore practical strategies to help you stay on course, avoid regression, and build a life that reflects your values and aspirations. One of the greatest obstacles to sustained change is the pursuit of perfection. We set unrealistic expectations, and when we inevitably fall short, we feel defeated and give up. The Stoics teach us to aim for progress instead. Why perfectionism fails. It sets an unattainable standard, leading to frustration and burnout. It makes you overly critical of minor setbacks, eroding your motivation. It shifts focus from growth to flawlessness, hindering real progress. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you. When you fall short, recognize it as part of the journey and focus on your next step forward." Practical tip: adopt the 1% rule. Commit to improving just 1% every day. Over time, these small improvements compound into significant progress. How would your life change if you celebrated small wins instead of chasing perfection? Creating systems, not just goals. Goals are important, but they're only the destination. To sustain change, you need systems, the daily habits and routines that guide you toward your objectives. Why systems matter. They create consistency, reducing reliance on motivation. They build momentum by turning positive actions into automatic behaviors. They shift your identity, reinforcing the belief that you are someone who embodies change. Example: if your goal is to exercise regularly, your system might include setting out your workout clothes the night before and scheduling workouts at the same time each day. Practical tip: identify one habit that supports your goal. Break it down into a system you can repeat daily. For example, O goal: eat healthier. O system: meal prep on Sundays, keep healthy snacks accessible, and track meals in a journal. What systems can you create to support your long-term growth? Setbacks are inevitable, but they don't have to derail your progress. In fact, challenges are opportunities to build resilience and deepen your commitment to change. The role of setbacks: they reveal areas where you can improve. They test your resolve, helping you build mental toughness. They provide valuable feedback for refining your approach. Epictetus said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are. Every challenge is a chance to demonstrate your strength and adaptability." Practical exercise: when faced with a setback, practice the ABC technique. 1. Acknowledge the challenge. 2. Breathe and pause before reacting. 3. Choose your response intentionally, aligning it with your values. How can you reframe your next setback as an opportunity to grow stronger? One of the most subtle threats to sustained change is complacency, the false sense that you've arrived and no longer need to put in effort. This mindset can slowly undo your progress. How to stay vigilant. Continue reflecting. Make daily or weekly reflection a habit. Set new challenges. Keep pushing yourself with fresh goals and aspirations. Surround yourself with growth-minded people. Engage with individuals who inspire and challenge you to stay committed. Example: a runner who completes their first marathon might feel accomplished and stop training, losing their progress. Instead, they can set a new goal, like improving their time or tackling a more challenging race. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Treat complacency as another challenge to overcome, a reminder to stay purposeful in your efforts. Practical tip: at the end of each month, evaluate your progress and set one new challenge to keep your momentum. Are you at risk of complacency in any area of your life? How can you reignite your sense of purpose? Sustaining change is easier when you're surrounded by people and environments that support your growth. How to build a supportive network. Seek mentorship. Learn from those who've achieved what you aspire to. Engage in community. Join groups or communities aligned with your goals, whether it's a fitness class, a book club, or a professional organization. Minimize negative influences. Distance yourself from individuals or environments that pull you back into old habits. Example: if you're trying to adopt a healthier lifestyle, spend time with friends who enjoy physical activity and nutritious meals, rather than those who encourage unhealthy choices. Epictetus reminds us, the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you. Your relationships are a reflection of your values. Choose them wisely. Who in your life inspires and supports your growth? How can you cultivate more of these connections? Lastly, sustaining change means recognizing and celebrating how far you've come. Gratitude fosters a positive mindset, motivating you to continue on your path. Why gratitude matters. It shifts your focus from what's missing to what you've achieved. It reinforces positive behaviors by associating them with feelings of fulfillment. It strengthens your resilience, helping you find meaning even in challenges. Practical tip: keep a gratitude journal. Each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for, including progress you've made toward your goals. How often do you pause to celebrate your achievements, no matter how small? What could gratitude add to your journey? Sustaining change isn't just about doing, it's about becoming. When you align your actions with your values and build habits that reflect your aspirations, you transform your way of being. As we conclude this journey, remember, change is a process, not a destination. You will stumble, but with resilience, reflection, and persistence, you will rise stronger every time. What kind of life do you want to create, and how can you start living it today? Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video that inspires and empowers you to keep growing. Together, let's create lives filled with purpose, growth, and resilience. As we wrap up this journey together, I want you to take a moment to reflect on everything we've explored. Breaking free from repeated mistakes isn't about achieving perfection. It's about embracing progress, owning your choices, and creating a life that reflects your true potential. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a victory. Remember, life isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about learning from them, growing through them, and becoming stronger. Stoic philosophy teaches us that challenges are not barriers. They're stepping stones. Each mistake is an invitation to look inward, to understand ourselves better, and to align our actions with our values. But here's the truth. You're not alone on this journey. Growth is something we all strive for, and when we share our experiences, we inspire each other to keep going. So, I invite you to join this community of like-minded individuals, people who are committed to becoming the best versions of themselves. If this video resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay connected with content that empowers you to take control of your life. Together, we'll continue exploring timeless wisdom, practical strategies, and profound insights to help you thrive in every aspect of your life. I also want to hear from you. What's one mistake you're ready to stop repeating? What's one change you've made or plan to make that's bringing you closer to your goals? Leave a comment below and share your story. Your voice matters, and it could be the inspiration someone else needs to take their first step. Lastly, if you found value in this video, share it with friends, family, or anyone who might benefit from its message. Let's spread the power of resilience, growth, and transformation. Thank you for being here, for showing up, and for committing to your journey. This is just the beginning. Stay strong, stay curious, and remember, you have everything you need within you to create a life of purpose and fulfillment. Until next time.